2017, 50% lower load than whole units, 0 injuries or incidents, and they say into the future, they will increase to more than 140 autonomous trucks by 2019. They have moved 1/4 of the total material moved is moved by autonomous trucks. This is not the technology of the future. This is here, now. Next generation battery technology. The battery technology is changing so fast. Just look at your phones. How many of you remember when a cell phone was that big and had that big batteries and you had to hold it with both hands, right? It is battery technology who change everything where you have a little iPad here. Battery technology is changing with an enormous pace. It is estimated that electric vehicles or battery-powered vehicles will be everywhere in mining, in agriculture, and in construction. This thing is about $81 billion market. Next generation technology will have a huge impact in the cost of underground metal mining. Ventilation, for example. Health in terms of diesel particulate. And I was interested, and I put this down for you. Just before I left my office, I was flicking around, and I saw this, which is in yellow. An announcement in this magazine, International Mining, is the February issue that says, Sierra Metals in Peru is transitioning to battery equipment with an RDH battery LHD at the Yuricocha mine. Is anybody from that mine here? Well, they don't need to be here. They're mining all the time with electrical stuff. And then this intrigued me. There is a big meeting in the US, usually follows the Mine Expo. A lot of you know the Mine Expo is a big equipment show in Las Vegas every 4 years. And a few months after it, there is a conference that is much bigger than the Mine Expo. It is for the entire construction sector. There, for the first time, they previewed an excavator totally made out of a 3D printing. I was amazed about that. So, why I'm giving you these examples? Do not expect and do not envision the mine of the future is somewhere after your retirement. It's catching up with you, and it is here. So you better realize the opportunities and things. So, what is these new technologies will provide, and all these new innovations will provide? Continuous real data and information. Smart sensors, miner tracking, mine communications, atmospheric monitoring, proximity detections, equipment monitoring, ground control monitoring, geosensing data, biosensing, robotics. What all these things are doing? Sending you information 24/7, all day long. What we don't have is the analytics, but this is going to come very, very soon. Improved analytics and new algorithms will transfer the data that you have that you don't know what to do with to actionable information. So, how we will transition in health and safety in the new era? The mine of today was based on training, procedures, policies, and management systems. The mine of the future will be based on information. Integration of smart systems and technologies to improve health and safety, and this is very important, critical decision on real-time information. People will make decisions instantly based on information they get every time, not have somehow a data bank with about 100 gigabytes of information that nobody uses or nobody knows what to do with it. You will be doing actionable changes, interventions, or anything that you want to because that information is there. So, if you look at the mine of the future, then the new emphasis on safety should be on systems engineering, human-machine interaction, robots in mine rescue, that's a big issue, and that will come much faster than anything, new training approaches. But also because we sometimes focus on the safety and we're not spending enough time on the health. Let me talk a little bit about the health. In the mine of the future, we are looking to change our approach to health and health risks and health issues. we are introducing more and more the worker's total health profile. We are interested not only what causes a health impact on the miner. We want to know how healthy the miner is before he comes to work. We want to know if his habits are right. We may want to intervene how he eats, how he does, what medication he gets. We want to promote different social norms. We need to address lifestyle risks. All this will change how we approach the health issue. It's not just the dust or the noise. It has to be correlated and related to the person and to the physical characteristics and the health of that particular person. This is what is meant by total workers' health. The last time I wanted to mention to you is that we have a new era of mine workforce. Going back to the CEO of Rio Tinto, technology changes roles, creates new opportunities, and requires a reset. Just because a truck no longer has a driver doesn't mean we don't need engineers and maintenance workers. Essentially, the transition of the mine of the future will change your miner to a technician. Is what I say will transform a blue-collar mine worker to a white-collar technician. So let's go back a little bit. This is always an interesting topic. They have different generation gaps out there. There are the baby boomers, I suppose maybe I'm one of them. There's generations Y, there's millennials. If you were born between 1982 and 2004, you're a millennial. People change these dates, not everybody agrees. But the new generation who's coming up, it doesn't have a name yet. It's called Beyond Millennials, or sometimes they call it the Generation Z. It's an entire different generation. The millennials grew up with changes on your phone, right? Changes in your computer. But the new generation, it takes this for granted. It's already there for them. I don't know what will happen during their time. So how they behave, how they will operate, how they think, how they want to be rewarded, how you're going to retain them, is not the same as your current workforce. So recruiting and retaining millennials, and more importantly, Generation Z, and developing the new talent of mining requires total different approach to your training systems. This is a generation that lives on a mobile phone. Everything that doesn't go in a phone is not worth knowing. How much of your training is based on mobile phones? Well, you better start. They are also different the way they receive messages, the way they learn. They get bored doing the same job. They don't mind being in the same company more, but they want to try different things. And they want instant gratification. They want to be told they're doing well the same day, not once a year. So you want to retain a new workforce, you have to change the way you recruit, you train, and you have to change how you retain your workforce. So, the mine of the future requires a renewed health and safety commitment. Some people say, if we're putting so much technology, and if we're going to remove the person from the front line because everything is autonomous, right, or automated, then who cares about safety? We move the person, right, from the traditional risk areas. But I will say to you that the new mine will produce new risks. Risk from integrating people and machines, interpreting data, predicting failures, and managing complex systems. You will have a set of possibly different health and safety parameters. So the effective safety and health management system must continue to evolve and ensure that these systems are properly implemented, monitored, and controlled under the new digital mind concept to achieve the design performance and realize desired outcomes. At the end of the day, I want to leave you with just a simple thing. Improving health and safety and be committed to health and safety is basically our moral and ethical obligation. Let me say, is our moral and ethical obligation to be committed to the health and safety of everybody who's working with us. We're all together on this. But because sometimes people on the top tend to forget things, I will also tell you it is also a business case. So the Mind of the Future in Health and Safety offers a business case to invest in health and safety systems that can improve productivity, stimulate sustainable business performance. So with that, I try to finish before my time because I'm the last man here before you and your piscos. So if you have any questions, here I am. Yes. Oh. Oh, sí.
Okay. Sí. Okay. Muy bien, tenemos tiempo. Antes de las preguntas, por favor, antes de que se retiren, mañana vamos a comenzar a las 8 en punto, así que por favor los invito a que estén un poco más temprano para poder iniciar. Ya ustedes tienen el programa ahí a las 8 en punto. Entonces, comenzamos con las preguntas. Por acá tenemos una pregunta, por favor, el ingeniero Víctor Pariona, por favor, acá. Acá tenemos también. Comenzamos con usted, antes que le pasen el micro al ingeniero Pariona. Adelante. Hola, hola, hola. A ver, vamos.
Aló, gracias, muchas gracias, Michael. Quien habla es Rolando Quispe, aquí, ¿no? Docente de la Universidad Nacional San Agustín de Arequipa. Usted nos habla de lo que es una propuesta de mina al futuro. Esto va a estar en función, digamos, de un avance tecnológico a través de la robotización y la automatización. Eso significa que tenemos que hacer innovación en nuestros procesos productivos y en nuestros equipos. Pero esto indudablemente implica hacer investigación científica, ¿no? Porque si no hacemos investigación científica, no vamos a hacer innovación. Yo quisiera consultarle a usted, por favor, en su experiencia o en su país, ¿quiénes se dedican a la investigación? ¿Son las universidades donde debe hacerse la investigación o a través de las empresas? O en todo caso, ¿quiénes financian la investigación? Hubiera sido, gracias.
Hola, hola.
I appreciate your question because this is something that troubles us as well. I wish I had with me a slide that shows investment of the mining industry in innovation versus something like 20 other industries. For example, the wireless communication industry, right? The aerospace industry, the chemical industry, the oil industry. And it is usually expressed in dollars per value of sellable product, right? So, you know, oil companies sell so many $1 million or $1 billion worth of oil, how much they spend on research. And the mining industry as a whole is right down at the bottom. And I saw you a statement by the president of Anglo-American who said, progress is too slow. He also said, we're not putting enough money into this. So what has happened over the years? Couple of things. Number one, many countries have moved away from funding basic research for mining. The US is a good example. You can get research for health and safety, but for the mining operations, there is none. The same has happened all over the world. Australia maybe less, but they also have met reduced budgets. But much of the innovation we're talking about is not necessarily coming out of the mining departments. It's innovation that is developed out there for everybody. So if you're talking about data management, if you're talking about robotics, I don't think, I'm a mining engineer, you're a mining engineer, I don't think I want to get involved in designing robots. I'm not any good at this. Our job is to take this technology and introduce it to the mining operation. So when you look at these interactive, huge technologies, our role, because we know the mining environment, to see how they fit in the space we have, in the conditions that we have. So recently, you will see many companies have made strategic partnerships with huge vendors. There is a partnership, for example, between one mining company. Barrick has a big partnership, I think, with Microsoft, and they go directly to the big vendors. There is partnership with all sorts of other companies that they are the big technology developers. So from our point, the big items are already developed by others, but it is not easy to introduce them to mining, who have difficult environment, different conditions, health and safety considerations. So our role is still very important, but not necessarily to be on the front of developing this. It takes different skills and different people to do that. We are, though, on the role of application. When it comes to taking action on information, you're going to have to do that, right? Going back, mining companies, I am involved with quite a lot of big projects, and I have a friend who is a big CEO of a big company and is a good friend, and he told me this as a joke, but more or less describes his philosophy. He said to me, Michael, he said, a few years back, the industry was going down the hill. We didn't have any money to give.